In this video, I'm going to talk about the differences between being a YouTuber and being a freelance filmmaker. Stick around. Hey guys, once again, I'm Scott Stevenson. Thanks again for joining me, and today I wanted to talk about what it's like being an independent filmmaker and also being a YouTuber. Sometimes a lot of the times they overlap and they're kind of the same thing, but sometimes they're completely different. But one of the first things that's super different about creating content for the internet and creating YouTube videos like this one is there's really nobody cares. Nobody really cares if you're making the video or not. You kind of have to push yourself to put that content out there and get it done. Whereas if you're an independent filmmaker and you have a client, they need it by a certain time. If it's a commercial or a music video, they're looking for that product that you're creating for them, and there's usually a deadline, so you need to get it done. Whereas with being a YouTuber, it's, maybe you have an upload schedule, you want to put a new video out every week, or you want to, do 2 videos a week or whatever it is, but nobody's really holding you to that schedule. You really need to be kind of self-disciplined to be able to put out that kind of content. Also, shooting YouTube videos is kind of a lonely solo thing. You're doing it all by yourself. Whereas if you're working on a crew as an independent filmmaker, a lot of times you can hire other freelancers to work with you, or you're working on a bigger crew and there's a camera operator, there's a DP, there's a crane operator, there's a grip, you get the idea. There's a whole team of people behind you that are helping to create that vision, create that product, and get that video done. Maybe sometimes the director or the cinematographer is also the editor, so they're working on the edit. So, a smaller crew, maybe there's only like a handful of people, 5 to 10 people, but usually you have a lot of help and a lot of eyes on your work to try to get, that really good high quality product. Whereas when you're making YouTube videos, a lot of people will see the end result video, but not a lot of times do you have a lot of hands or a lot of help helping you create that product, helping you create that YouTube video. Sometimes maybe you have a shooter who can come and help you shoot videos, but a lot of times it's just you and the camera, and you're just making your content and hoping that everything works out. And sometimes you need to reshoot things and it doesn't always go as planned, but it's okay because, like I said before, you don't really have a deadline or a budget involved. So it's not as professional and it's not as serious to make YouTube content, although a lot of people do make a living off of it. Whereas in filmmaking, it's a lot more serious. Time is money. A lot of times you only have the location for so many hours. And that brings me to my third point, location. When you are doing professional shoots, you're either going into a business and you have that location locked down and you know that you're going to be shooting in that location, and you have it from whatever amount of time, say it's 12, 14 hours. You have that location, or maybe you have a couple different locations in a day, and you have production insurance, and it's okay with everybody shooting there, and you have your permits, you have everything worked out so that when you show up with your crew and your microphones, your cameras, your lights, everything, they know that you're shooting, and it's okay to descend on that area, that location, and start making your production. Whereas when you do a lot of YouTube videos, YouTube is pretty much guerrilla filmmaking. You're kind of going out by yourself. A lot of times you don't have permits, you kind of don't have permission. You're just going off on a hike and filming wherever, or you're maybe in somebody's house that or you're just kind of run and gun, guerrilla, Casey Neistat style, filming on the side of the road, or putting your gorilla pod up on a car. It's very run and gun, and there's usually not a set location that you're filming in, and a lot of times you don't have permission to film. And a lot of times other places around the world it's not such a big deal, but here in LA it's kind of hard to run around with a camera and just film wherever you want without a permit, because most of the people know that you're creating some kind of content for either social media or for some kind of a commercial work, or you're gonna make money off whatever it is that you're creating. So they like to you know, especially like film LA, they'll come after you if they see you filming out on the streets. So it's better to do it the proper way, especially if you have a client, and just make sure that you have that location locked down before you get all your crew out there and everybody to start shooting, because you don't want to get shut down during a shoot. You know, if you're shooting out at the beach or something and, you know, the cops come and they kick you out, and that doesn't look good, you know, getting kicked out of a location. You know, the artist that you're working with, if you're shooting a music video, or if you're shooting for a client, it's really not going to go over really well if you know, you get kicked out of your spot. So that's something to keep in mind, is location. Whereas YouTube, it's, you know, you can film in your own house for the most part, and a lot of times you can even keep your gear set up and have it, you know, have your lights set up, have your camera set up, have everything ready to roll, and just hit record and just pump out another video. Whereas with shooting on location, everything needs to be brought to set. Everything needs to be packed up into Pelican cases. Everything needs to be transported on a truck or some sort of a vehicle, and you shoot with everything, and then at the end of the day, everything needs to be packed back into cases. All the gear needs to be returned. Some of it is rental gear, some of it needs to go back to the rental houses, the lenses, wherever the stuff needs to go, easy rig, it all needs to go back to, you know, the rent, or if it's your gear, it needs to be packed up and then brought back into the house or whatever. So a lot of schlepping equipment when you're shooting for clients. It's not as run and gun as YouTube. One thing that I also noticed is YouTube, a lot of stock footage is used in YouTube. A lot of stock footage. You can use YouTube stock footage for pretty much anything to fill in little gaps in here and there. Whereas for client work, sometimes it doesn't really work for what it is for your client work to use stock footage. You have to have that specific product or that specific person in your video, and it has to mix with the vibe and what it is you're trying to create. A lot of times you can't use stock footage like you do in YouTube videos. You know, the production quality might be there, but it doesn't always match, you know, what you're trying to create for your client. You know, one shot to the next. A lot of times it's better just to shoot your own stuff rather than trying to purchase it on like a stock footage website. Like I said before, shooting a YouTube video is kind of a solo thing. All the way from beginning to end, you are the only person who is making that production work. You know, sometimes larger YouTube channels, they might have a team of people that'll come in and help them shoot and help them light and help them create this A-roll type of situation, and then that footage will go off to an editor. The editor will work on it, and then it comes back to them. They maybe will put in the tags, or they have an assistant that will put in the tags and the description, and then it gets uploaded. And that is kind of like a good team, and a lot of like successful YouTube channels, that is kind of the formula. So you see these YouTubers and like, how do they release, you know, 5-6 videos in a week? They have a team. They have a team of people that are working on their stuff. They have more than one person that's editing their content. They have more than one person that's helping them shoot, more than one person that's making that channel run, you know? Whereas like on a film set, it can also be the same sort of thing where you have a lot of people, or your budget can be really small, and it could just be you, one-man band sort of thing. Personally, I prefer to work with a crew. I prefer to work with more people, and this year on my YouTube channel, I'm trying to bring more people in to help me with these kind of videos so that things can go a lot smoother. But I do prefer to edit my own work because I feel like it's fresh in my mind, and yeah, you know what you shot, so it goes together a lot smoother than handing it off to somebody. But with COVID, a lot of people are sending out their footage to editors, and it makes it a little bit easier. You know, you can just upload it digitally to your editor. They can look over your stuff. Guys don't need to be in the same part of the, you don't even need to be in the same part of the world, and you guys can edit stuff. One resource I really love for that is Frame.io. I've worked with a lot of clients, music videos, corporate stuff, where I've used Frame.io, and it's really awesome. You can upload all your footage there, and your client can go through and make revisions and then send you back notes, and then it integrates right into your software, whatever you use, Premiere, Final Cut Pro. And there's also a mobile app where it has like little notes all along, drops right into your timeline. You can see the notes right in the timeline as they show up, and that's a phenomenal tool. Something to use, you know, if you're working and you're collaborating as an editor with a team, or with you know, a big crew. Or there's a lot of people. Maybe there's somebody who's making graphics for you. Maybe there's somebody that's making your soundtrack. Maybe there's some, you know, there's a lot of people. There's a producer who has to watch the whole thing and maybe is editing it for content. Frame.io is a fantastic tool. If you guys found that this was interesting, please let me know. Give this video a like. I want to make more videos like this talking about the filmmaking journey and what it's like in the film industry. And I want to maybe interview some DPs or some Steadicam operators, jib operators, gaffers, different people who work in the industry, so you guys can get an idea of what it is that they do and what it's like, and give some insight. Maybe even some set photographers, different people, people who do crafty. There's so many jobs on set, and I feel like most people, all they think about is camera department, all they think about is the director, all they think about is the DP. They don't realize how many people it takes to create really awesome productions. And hair and makeup, every little wardrobe, every little detail makes a huge difference in the overall quality of the product. And yeah, maybe I'll bring some of those people on the channel and do a little segment talking about you know, what their jobs are, and kind of their perspectives of the film industry and why they got into that kind of stuff. Maybe you guys will find that interesting. If you do, leave me a comment down below, let me know. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Hopefully you're able to kind of see some of the differences between shooting just YouTube videos and creating full-on, you know, productions with a crew, and doing independent filmmaking or video production. And hopefully you can see some of these differences and understand where you fit into the spectrum. Once again, I'm Scott Stevenson. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out my past videos as well as subscribe to see my future ones. Peace.